Afternoon everybody and welcome back to Jaffa Cooks. Today, as promised, I'm going to make some traditional naan breads. Very easy recipe to make restaurant looking and tasting naan breads. So very quickly, I've got some plain flour, some yogurt, room temperature yogurt, just make sure it is room temperature, salt, baking powder, bicarbonate soda and some regular oil, and I've got some lukewarm water, about 1.5 cups. Before we start cooking, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. Click on the bell icon for the latest updates and recipes. And if you need more information about this recipe and others, look at the description below. If you like my recipes, give me a big thumbs up and share with your friends and families. This naan goes perfectly with the chicken tikka masala I made recently. So let's get cooking. So I'm going to take the dry ingredients first, mix them in. So in goes the salt, the bicarbonate of soda, and the baking powder. So I'm just going to give that a quick mix. And it's always good to give the dry ingredients a mix first, not a combination, because it may clog up as a lump and you may realize when you're cooking the naan or any other recipe that somebody gets a big lump of salt or bicarbonate of soda. So just going to pour in the rest of the ingredients. We've got the yogurt here, and the oil, and I'm going to leave, I've got probably maybe a half a teaspoon left in there. I'm going to leave that to one side. I'll need that towards the end. So again, just very quickly, best tools in the kitchen, in your hands. I've got a glove on, you can probably do the same. So just very quickly, just mix it in. And your dough should really come together very, very quickly, maybe a couple of minutes, shouldn't take long. Once you feel that your yogurt's mixed in and your oil, then you can start pouring in your water. So now, I'm just going to pour it, majority of it in. I'm just going to hold some of it back. Sometimes dough is a bit temperamental, and you may end up using the right ingredients, but your flour is slightly different, and it may require a little bit more or less water. So, see now, the dough is becoming crumbly, and it is forming together. I'm just going to take the rest of the water. Again, just keeping a little bit back. Whilst making your dough, it's always better to use less water than to use more, because then you'll have to compensate it with additional flour. And if you do that, then you may end up having disproportionate measurements, and that may impact the final product. So, I'm going to knead mine for maybe another 5 minutes. And once I'm ready, I'll come back and show you what it should look like. Okay, so welcome back. My dough is ready. I've left it in the same bowl. You'll find that it's a little bit sticky, and it's fine, and that's what the consistency we want. So I'm just going to take that remaining little bit of oil, and I'm just going to cover my dough. And then we're going to now take some cling film, or just a cloth. I'm going to cover the dough, and then we're going to leave it in a dry, warm place for about an hour. And then I'll show you what the result looks like when we come back, as usual. Welcome back, everybody. So my dough has been resting for about an hour. It looks ready, it's risen in size. And what we want to do is we want to now portion this into 5 equal portions. I've just got a chopping board. I use this as a rolling board. So I'm just going to roll this out, just equally portion it into 5. So I'm going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The technique of rolling a dough ball, very simple. We need to seal the base. So there's a couple of ways of doing it. One is you could just keep tucking it in, and just to make sure that your top surface is nice and smooth, and then you can just rub your palm and your fingers together just to seal it, just like that, and then you tuck the end bits, and we're done. So once you're done, I'm just going to flour it, my dough ball, and I'm just going to leave it to one side for a minute, and I'll do the rest. Again, very simple, just flatten it out of it, get the edges out, top nice and smooth, tuck them in, and then just take the palm, 2 fingers and your palm, and just roll them together to seal the base. And then push that a little bit in the end to close the dough ball. Okay, let me finish these off and I'll see you back shortly. Okay, welcome back. So my dough ball's ready, looking perfect. Now all we have to do is roll them out to a shape of a naan. Now, rolling out dough ball to a shape of naan bread, it's entirely up to you. You can keep it round or you can make it into an oval shape. Again, it's your preference. I'd start off probably with a circle, and then if you want to stretch it out into an oval shaped naan bread that you see in restaurants, you can do it like that as well. It's entirely up to you. So very simple. Just take your dough ball and just push it out from the middle, the side, just to get it out and spread as evenly as you can. Roll it over. So flip it over. So now, with your rolling pin, very easy and without applying too much pressure on either end, just roll and then turn it over and then roll again. And then the objective is to basically one roll or a couple of rolls and keep turning it over. If it requires additional flour, just apply the flour, just a little bit of flour if you need it. And at one point in time, your dough ball should look something like a ready-made either roti or an naan bread. Now, you can turn this into a different shape by just applying a bit more pressure and pulling it to look more like a commercial naan bread that you find in a restaurant. Now, I'm just going to take a fork and just a couple of small light holes, not too much, just to make sure that the air is allowed to push through and we don't get a balloon, but we do get still bubbles forming in certain places. Okay? So in the back, I've got a pan that's on the stove already. It's nice and hot. Yep, it's nice and hot. And what we'll do now is just take some coriander, and I'm just going to push that coriander in. It may not all stick, but that's fine. It's not a problem. The objective is for you to really experience making a homemade naan bread. Now, in a restaurant, you usually have a clay oven, and the clay oven is what cooks the naan bread or cooks the tandoori chicken or whatever tandoori dish you order. We're trying to replicate the same effect and the principle, but we don't have a clay oven, we're using a pan. But before we do put a naan bread onto the pan, we do need to wet the base. So I've got some water here, and what I'm going to do is very carefully pick up my naan bread, turn it over quickly, just a little bit of water, and that water allows it to stick as well. Now, some of the coriander may fall off, and that's fine. Transfer it over, and we're going to cook this on one side only. And then what we're going to do, I've got an oven on the other side, and then we're going to pop it into the oven on the top shelf and cook the top. And what this should do is should cook the top and allow it to then bubble and rise. Okay. So as you can see, the naan bread has started to bubble and form. And what we're going to do, what we want to see, is just slightly brown from the bottom, as you can see. And then, just as the bubbles are forming and it's brown, pop it into the top shelf of your oven. Okay, welcome back everyone. My naans are done. They look as good as any other restaurant. And I'm sure they taste even as good. Just before I break one open and really taste it, just wanted to flip my naan bread oven just to show you. The reason why we put water on the base is so you get that brown, crispy look. And I've just brushed mine with olive oil. You can do yours with butter or anything else. And you can see how it's hot. It's nice and bubbly. Yep, you get that effect. There you go, nice and bubbly. Just going to try that. Just missing the chicken tikka masala really to go with it. But follow my recipe. You'll find chicken tikka masala I made just last week. Enjoy and give me a thumbs up. Have a good day.